Hey everybody, I wanted to give you a little bit of heads up on the test coming up this Friday. The exam covers thermodynamics and electrochemistry, and just like in previous tests, I wanted to make sure that I went over what to expect, what each question should be, or will be. And even though it's been a while, I know that I promised you, well, I didn't really promise you, but I gave you the wink point that questions 1 and 2 are going to be Hess's Law questions, that there were going to be multiple choice Hess's Law questions. And so there's 2 of them. And so that's going to be the first couple of multiple choice questions. And then there's a couple of multiple choice questions about the sign convention for spontaneous processes. And so meaning if the delta H is positive and the delta S is negative, what happens? Is the reaction spontaneous or vice versa? Like whatever it is. So that's what that's what's going to happen for those. And then question 4 is predicting. You can't see it because it's cut off a little bit, but question 4, multiple choice question 4, is going to be predicting the sign of the change in entropy. So remember that has to do with the number of moles of gas. If it's going to more moles of gas, that's a positive change in entropy, a positive delta S, so to speak. If you're going to less moles of gas on the reactant, on the product side, then that is a negative delta S. Then question 6 is taking a half reaction that's already written for you and balancing that half reaction. And then there are some short answer questions. The short answer questions there's 3 of them total, but question 1 and question 2 each have 2 separate reactions. So question 1 is balancing an acid catalyzed or balancing 2 acid catalyzed redox reactions, and question 2 is balancing the base catalyzed reaction. So I would look over, remember that is a very kind of prescriptive sort of stepwise procedure. And then you have to remember your calorimetry, because the question 3 is all about calorimetry, the short answer version. So there's a little bit of math. Remember converting from joules to kilojoules per mole, whatever it is. So there's a couple of parts there to keep in mind. And then there are 3 long answer questions. Okay, so I don't know why that says calculating thermodynamic compounds. That seems so weird. But that question is where I give you thermodynamic data, and you're going to have to calculate thermodynamic values for compounds. Typically with products minus the reactants, you may have to use delta G equals delta H minus T delta S. But that's the whole question is calculating and using the values. And again, I will make sure that you have the appropriate values to solve that problem. And then question 2 is determining, boy, I didn't really do this very, it's determining sign values. It's determining the values, the signs of thermodynamic values. Okay, it seems like I was crazy when I wrote this. Okay, so it's so there's going to be a reaction, and you're going to have to say whether delta G is positive or negative, delta S is positive or negative, delta H is positive or negative. You're going to have to talk about maybe the equilibrium constant, maybe the cell potential, but that's going to be what that is. I apologize again for that weird typographical and grammatical error there for that. But question 3 is the big electrochemistry problem, where I'm going to give you a couple of reactions, and they're going to be very straightforward reactions, and you're going to have to balance them. You're going to have to calculate calculate the cell potential, calculate the delta G, calculate the equilibrium constant, and then you're going to have to draw a cell. Okay, so that when I say cell, I mean this an electrochemical cell or a voltaic cell. You're going to have to label the parts. We did one in lecture. There's some sample problems in class. In the classroom on Schoology, so know how to label the parts. So yeah, that's going to be the big question. But as we go through all of the options here, or all of the questions, you'll notice that the bigger portion of the test is going to be thermodynamics. So there's one big electrochemistry problem, and then I guess these two are kind of big. And then question 6 is the only multiple choice question that has to do with the balancing the half reactions. So just keep in mind, so I don't know the exact breakdown, but you're going to have, it's definitely more thermodynamics than it is electrochemistry. So I hope that explains everything, and have a great day.